It's not violence. Okay, sweet. I want him to spawn right here so that we can... Oh! Yeah, there you go. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at the Cyanoid Simulor. So, I'm not going to lie to you, when you first clicked on this video, you had one of two reactions. Either, oh hey, I remember this weapon, or what is it? What is this? I've never heard of this in my entire life. I knew nothing about it when I first picked it up, but it's a very cool weapon, and we're gonna check out how it works in a second. It's a syndicate weapon, so you can either pick it up by buying it off of another player, or you can just grind it yourself from the Cephalon Suda standing. I believe it's rank 5. It's like the other syndicate weapon. So I just want to take a second to thank you guys so much for the amazing and incredible feedback on the last two videos. I mean, I didn't expect them to do as well as they did, honestly. So I guess I'd also make the announcement here that if I hit 1,000 subs, I'll make a Discord server. There were a few people in the comment section of the last two videos who were asking if there is one, so I don't know. I don't want to like rush things too quickly, you know, so we'll just start easy, and we'll get into the whole, you know, Discord servers and the technicalities later. And yeah, enough introduction. Let's go see what this weapon does in the simulacrum. So let's take a look at how this weapon works. If I shoot, it will fire out an orb that has a half-life of 1 second and then detonates in a small AoE doing a forced electricity proc. Then if I shoot 2 orbs, they merge into a singularity, but it's not necessarily always 2 orbs. It depends on the multi-shot level of those orbs. So basically, if I have a 1 base multi-shot, I will need to shoot 4 orbs in order to create a fully stacked orb. Let me show that again, but slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a fully stacked orb, and it's called a singularity. When I middle click, I can detonate this singularity, and it will do the same things like I just said before, you know, the forced electricity proc and all that, but it'll do more damage, have more critical chance as well. You can also shoot through this orb with any weapon, doesn't matter which one it is, and it will gain a 25% flat critical chance and critical damage buff, and it will also gain up to a 500% base electricity damage buff depending on if the orb is fully stacked or not. Sometimes the weapon will create an unstacked orb or a partially stacked orb, which is what you see right here, and this is the result of an orb that did not create or did not have enough power or enough multi-shot to form an orb with an orb value 4. Okay, I really hope I explained that well. So for the most part, you're going to be seeing these, especially when you stack up past a certain point. You'll be seeing them more frequently, but if you go too far, specifically over a multi-shot of 2.5 total, depending on however you get that number, it will stop stacking, or at least stop stacking as frequently. Here we have the Cyanoid Simulor build. I'm using Serration and Prime Cryo rounds for more base damage and more blast weighting because Galvanized Aptitude to direct damage does not work here, unfortunately. So to kind of compensate for the status chance, we're using Hammer Shot for extra critical damage and status chance. Galvanized Chamber is our only source of multi-shot, and this has produced the best effects, in my experience, with this weapon. Rifle Elementalist for a 1.9 times multiplicative status damage. This has been confirmed to be the case, so you stack this with Roar on Zephyr, and it does a lot of damage. 60/60 heat mod from Thermite rounds, and we're using Primary Merciless because while yes, you can technically proc Primary Deadhead and Argon Scope and all that stuff, the reload speed is more, in my opinion, it's more useful than the negative recoil or whatever, and also because this will proc no matter what, but Deadhead will only proc if you explode the orb above an enemy, and that doesn't always work. So I'd use this if you just kind of want general use. And then for the Exilus slot, I don't have it because personally, I don't want the orb to travel that far. I actually prefer it to be closer to me, but if you want more distance in the orb, then use Terminal Velocity. Also, this weapon is a Syndicate weapon, so it innately has the Syndicate trait. Some mods, like for the Burstin Prime, the Augment gives you Truth, which is the Arbiters of Hexus equivalent for this. And they all function the same way. Once you get enough affinity, then you get the special effect, which is a 25-meter magnetic explosion, and you increase your max energy by 25% and restore 25% of your energy. And you get that energy max buff for the next 30 seconds. For Zephyr, I have the Roar Subsume, like I just said, and we're using the Funnel Clouds Augment plus a bunch of duration and strength. And we're using Molt Vigor and Molt Augmented to get even more. This is a very flexible build. You don't have to use this exact one, but if you want the exact same performance shown in this video, then you can use this one. The aura slot doesn't matter that much. It's flexible. If you want to shield gate with her for whatever reason, then you can. If you want to get more initial combo with her, you can. If you want to do power donation, steel shards, you can do whatever you want. But I do recommend you mod for, at the very least, duration, because it will keep these up, the tornadoes up for much longer, and these are your biggest source of damage. You're going to be kind of playing around them, but because of the Funnel Claws augment summoning so many, it's not that big of a deal. And then you have Turbulence as your survivability, so as long as you stay in the air, not only will you be proccing her 150% critical chance passive, but you also won't die. So, and then Air Burst, not that useful because it has such a small range due to the negative range modding, but you can still use it occasionally. Okay, so cool. No shards or anything. Let's go ahead and let's showcase the performance. So all we're going to do is do Kentam Wave, use this a few times, do this, and then boom. So all we got to do is shoot and detonate it. And look at that. Just everything is dead. So I do want to kind of stress that, yeah, this kind of happens with pretty much any weapon plus Zephyr Tornadoes, but because it's a blast radius weapon, it applies the blast status effect and the electricity status effect to multiple enemies at once, which makes it stronger than, like, I don't know, like a bullet hose hit scan weapon, right? So, very strong, as you can see. I mean, it's just ripping through them, right? So, if it's killing these guys this quickly, imagine what it's doing to just like any other trash mob. And so that just about wraps everything up I have to say about the Cyanoid Simulator. For now, we're going to be moving into Steel Path Mott, or Steel Path Survival, so that you can see how this weapon performs in an actual mission. Alright, so here we are in Steel Path Mott. I'm using Zenerek as my focus school, but you can use whatever you want. This is just personal preference. I like using Zenerek. Also, one thing I wanted to touch on here while, you know, we kind of have some spare time before anything interesting happens. I just wanted to ask you guys what your feedback is regarding the style of these showcases. Oh my god, I killed them so... my game lag. I was curious just because I know some of you don't like the talking during this gameplay, so I want your guys' thought. I want your feedback. Seriously, so leave a comment or something. Do you guys like when I'm talking during this? Would you prefer just, you know, video plus music, or do you like just me talking, or do you like me talking with music? Seriously, leave your thoughts. It really helps out a ton. But anyways, as you can see, I mean, this weapon's performing fantastic. And we don't even have to, you know, touch the ground ever with Zephyr and her little floaty thing passive. I don't know. Honestly, I actually really don't like Zephyr's passive. That's just because I'm very used, well, like most people, I'm very used to the grounded parkour. So if I do a bullet jump like this and I'm in the air for longer than I should be, it kind of messes me up, and I actually feel slower on Zephyr than other Warframes, even though I'm like 99% sure she's faster than most Warframes. Like I mentioned before with the whole, oh wait, you can see gameplay with Boar real quick. So it's not really gonna one-tap him unless there's enemies nearby, but it'll still kill him decently quickly. I mean, it's nothing ridiculous, but the more enemies nearby, the better. So if I can... Oh, yeah, actually, he teleported to them, and then he got one tap there, so... We have our Molt Augmented stacked now, so we have more Roar. I probably should have used Molt Vigor, but... It's worth noting that in the intro of this video, you saw me one-tap an Acolyte, and unfortunately, that's not going to be that realistic on most missions, because, number one, I mean, this is a solo Acolyte, right? But also because in order to one-tap an Acolyte with this build, you need to have a bunch of enemies around them, and that's just because of the way that the Zephyr Tornadoes work. But thankfully, Acolytes are very, very susceptible to status effects like Blast. Pretty much any good Cerberus Incarnon build can one-tap an Acolyte. Oh, speak of the devil. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get the Acolyte to spawn right here. Variance, not violence. Okay, sweet. I want him to spawn right here so that we can... Oh! Yeah, there you go. I actually have never done that before. In the in the beginning of this video, you were likely gonna see a metal clip of me one-tapping an Acolyte, but that's actually ridiculous. I did not think that I did not think that it would kill it instantly. Yeah, there you go. That was completely unplanned. What I was gonna do was I was gonna go in and just be like, yeah, well, first you need to get them all grouped up and then do it, but it just so happened that he was already there. And that's pretty much gonna do it for me today. There's not much else to talk about regarding this weapon, except for the fact that there is. This weapon is very complicated, and there are a lot of things I didn't quite touch on in this video, but in the description, I'm going to be leaving some extra info regarding how the weapon works in case anybody's interested. But for all intents and purposes, just normal gameplay-wise, you do not care. You do not have to worry about how the weapon works. I mean, all I'm doing is just clicking and middle clicking occasionally. That's pretty much the gameplay loop. So if you're okay with that, then that's all you gotta do. But that'll be doing it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I experimented with the, kind of talking during the mission again. So let me know how you guys liked that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.